Hello and welcome to the Comedy Slab. I have slurped my last, I was going to say piece of tea. You can't have a piece of tea, can you?
You can't have a piece of me, I tell you that.
I certainly don't want a piece of you. But I need some tea on hand. It's a great comforter. And working with you, Shane, I do need comforting. So, yes, welcome to the Comedy Slab. What? What is it? Say it, no, say it. Just because I'm supposedly the lead presenter at the beginning of the show this week, we take it in turns. No. What is it?
I just wanted to say it reminded me very much of a man I used to work with who would, just for a laugh, he was just like ridiculous in his behaviour, but he would, for a laugh, he would take a drink of tea and then with your mouthful of tea go, "What did you say?" And it would just...
There was a comedy we slabbed where someone did that with just water, which is slightly less painful and staining.
Why would... you've got to be desperate for attention, haven't you, just to do something like that. But yeah. But he was very
that's something we would understand, eh, Shane, as presenters?
Exactly. Us shrinking violets.
Exactly. Anyway, so here we are, a couple of shrinking violets. I'm shrinking in... I was going to say I'm shrinking in the southeast. That sounds dubious.
I'm glad you said that, because those trousers do make you look like you are.
And you're certainly not shrinking in the middle, but you are in the Midlands. Oh, that was cheeky, wasn't it? We are... Stop it. Enough percussion. So, yes, we're safely apart geographically, but umbilically linked through Skype. Bless it. And he's nodding. I could see him. Not that you need to. I know you know that, but hey. So, yes, why the Comedy Slab? If you're brand new to the show, lovely to have you along. Do please subscribe. We will explain how and possibly why later. But we notionally put a different comedy, be it TV, radio, podcast, whatever, on the marble to dissect it and see what we make of it, see if it's a twitching corpse or thrusting with life, and we can barely hold it down long enough to analyse it and cut it into little pieces.
You've turned into the most gruesome scene in my imagination now. You're no longer doing an autopsy, you're just murdering somebody in a lab somewhere.
Makes it sound so cruel, doesn't it? But actually we're not, are we? Back me up on this, as Harry Hill would say. We're not cruel.
No, we're just misguided and
well, that's true.
Badly intentioned. I think those are the ways, really, aren't they? Yeah. Well, I thought you summed it up quite nicely. We agonised over this, and we should say actually we're on episode 68, and we've never really talked about the name, have we, and how we came to it? But didn't we? I remember us agonising for quite a while as to whether the imagery for the comedy slab, because we liked it because it was like the comedy slab was like a kind of, there was that kind of thing going on as well. But I remember we do you remember that? We were kind of agonising.
You came out with it. You might have agonised even before suggesting it to me. And what you called it then was comedy on the slab, which made me think, we could call it COTS for short.
Right.
But then people will think, it's all about help with young children.
Getting your children to sleep, yeah.
Or as it turns out, you have 2 young children, and it helps you because it means you can forget them for half an hour to an hour.
Yeah.
So yes, that's your evil purpose. But
although people don't realise that the biggest challenge to doing this podcast for me is to not the one, because my little girl's just about 6 months, but my little lad's just coming up to 2. And the biggest challenge for me with the Comedy Slab is getting him to sleep before we do the recording. And so that's why sometimes I'm a little bit tense.
Really? You hide it well with your gnashers.
Yeah.
But yeah, most times you do succeed and you're here on time. The prearranged date night that we have.
Sometimes my wife has to take over, I'll be honest with you. Sometimes I'm not. And for some reason, he because we normally record on a Friday night, don't we? And for some reason, he's got this thing where Friday night is, where he just won't settle. It's like he knows.
Almost like he knows.
Yeah. So wait till he does know. When he does know, it'll be even worse.
It.
Exactly.
Anyway, so I shortened it from comedy on the slab to comedy slab, And amazingly, you didn't push back on that. I thought that might start another set of self-analysis and bout of agony. But it didn't.
I don't remember that comedy on the Slab. I don't remember suggesting that.
I could probably find the email if you're disputing it.
No. I'm just saying I don't remember it. But I mean, I'm glad we did because it's. I think it's better as it is, isn't it? Really? Yeah.
Think how many seconds we've saved. And
then,
goodness knows we talk long enough as it is.
And then it's like our the logo on the Comedy Slab podcast is our two faces, one happy and one sad, like the masks of the what do they call those drama masks? I can't remember whether there's a name.
Hippocrates? No. Well, that's I think the term hypocrite comes from mask. But I'm not classically educated, as I think you've worked out long since.
He honestly, he's a Rhodes scholar.
I study Rhodes.
He learns how to tarmac at an early age.
Sorry, I should have let you get the punchline out. That would be more decent.
And I always thought it would. We should have had with the Comedy Slab. We should have had, us in white coats or something like that. But it's budget in it, darling.
Well, we must be due a new logo eventually. Another 5 to 10 years.
Maybe we should. Okay, I'll splash it. I'll buy a white coat the weekend. And
can't you just paint one on?
Well, I'll go and buy a white coat in the middle of winter. Don't be surprised if I'm not here for the podcast because I've been knocked down by a snowplow. You know what I mean? It's bound to happen.
Well, yeah, if you hear me start another Comedy Slab with "Welcome to this monologue," we'll know that's happened. Anyway, so the show this week that's on the Slab, it's an interesting one, isn't it? How it came about, and actually, I did worry, and I think I probably said this last time that I might have misconstrued or misrepresented how it happened. I was talking to a colleague. If you didn't hear me say this before, dear listener, but I was talking to a colleague at work about comedy, and it came out of nowhere that she said she liked Friday night dinner. And then she just tagged on, and this is how I think it happened, rather than say, if you like that, you'll like this. I think she then went on to say, I'm also a great fan of Man Down.
Right.
So I might have completely misrepresented it, but which would have made, but I can see why you had the reaction if I did misrepresent it last time, saying words to the effect, or it was quite clear to me that you thought, they're not anything like each other.
Although that doesn't have to be the case, does it? Because very often, as we've done with the Slab, of saying we're heading to nearly 70 different programs that we've watched and we've critiqued, is that very often, sometimes disparate comedies can be bedfellows. I think that is possible. I was just. It's when you don't get it, isn't it? That's the thing. I haven't caught up on that. It doesn't mean to say that it doesn't exist or doesn't happen, but it's just that you haven't gotten onto it. But in this case, I think they are probably very different, aren't they? I think in that sense, but
I think so.
No matter. It was an aside.
It's what I called last week a lucky dip, and we'll find out Shane's reaction. Although you did actually confess it's not a new show to you, is it? And that's fine.
No, I mean, like your friend at work, big fan.
Right.
Big fan.
Given it away.
Big fan.
That thought.
Yeah. I didn't really hide it last week, though, did I? Big fan of Greg Davis as well. Although more of that to come a little bit later, because I'm not always a big fan of Greg Davis. But yeah, go on.
Well, we can still have your headline, which will summarise your reaction to it. So we already know it's going to be positive. Anyway, so we have 3 audio clips from the show just to give you an idea. If you don't know the show, or even if you do, it at least gives us something to kind of crystallise our thoughts around. So shall we get into the first of those clips? And I ought to set the scene just a little, just in case you haven't seen it. It is on the Channel 4 app, or certainly in the UK, All 4 being the name of their app, or you can... That doesn't usually get a laugh.
Awful. I always think of awful when it said now on all 4. Awful. What did you say?
Didn't I convert that into awful one week? But anyway.
Awful.
Okay, I'll leave you chuckling at your own joke, the lowest form of wit, as we all know. So the first of 3 audio clips to set the scene, I should say, as well as being on what he calls the Awful app, you can stream it via the interwebby, and hopefully outside the UK, I don't know, it's all copyright. Well, you're going to put the links on, aren't you? As
Yes,
the,
I will, yeah.
Prime linker putter on once this is being converted into podcast form.
If we get a minute, and I know you want to play the clip now, and if we get a minute, can we talk about as an aside, if we get the chance, if you remind me, talk about the difference between the iPlayer and Awful?
We will do.
Okay, I've got a question for you, which I'm not suggesting that you're going to be able to answer, but I was just going to throw it out there because you might have an answer for it, and it's something that we've talked about previously. But if I don't mention it now, something that I later rely on in court, then I could get prosecuted. No, so yeah. I'll do it. If that's why I mention it now for no other reason.
Can I mention my get-out clause, which is my sieve-like memory? So, and also, I think I know what you're going to say, but I could be totally wrong.
Okay, you probably do because you know me too well, darling.
Well, yes, and so do our regular listeners, bless them. But they still come back for more. There's no accounting for taste.
Despite that.
It was series 1, episode 1 we went for. So, okay, a little bit of a conservative thing there on my part, but I suppose it was partly survival instinct and selfishness that I wanted to know how it all began. So we're about to find out. This is quite early on in the episode, but what you might need to know is that we're introduced to the idea of the fact that the Greg Davis character, Dan, that is right, isn't it? Or Daniel is sometimes known as.
Yeah.
He is, well, in the blurb, the Channel 4 supply, he's a man-child, so he's certainly eccentric. And you're kind of left wondering how, A, he gets a girlfriend, and B, he, as 'twere, retains a girlfriend. And we've also been introduced to the idea that despite the fact he's about to go to work, he's lost his trousers. And in the place of what one would consider work-type trousers, he's had to improvise with tracksuit bottoms. So here he is in an exchange with his girlfriend, and we get to learn 1 or 2 other things he needs to sort out as well.
Dan, my cab's here. At some point today, get a new bulb.
Yes, do you listen to me? I've told you. I've ordered a special one on the internet. An environmentally friendly one. Be patient, it's coming from Korea.
Dan, just buy one from a shop.
Oh, well, I am sorry I don't hate the planet as much as you clearly do. I'll chuck our fridge in a canal, shall I? Shall we get a couple of golf clubs and go over to the Galapagos and f*** a few puffins up?
Oh my... You're never going to move out of this flat, are you?
What's wrong with this flat?
It's attached to your parents' house.
And?
And your mum lets herself in and washes your underpants. You're a grown man.
Do you want me to wear mucky pants?
You're just filling time. Not with me, you're not. I'm leaving.
Not leaving?
It's not normal. I'm sorry. Goodbye.
I mean, I just love that line when he's talking about chucking the fridge in the canal and all that. That kind of. I don't know. The thing that's straight out the gates with this for me, the writing is so sharp and spot on. And who doesn't love a plot line like you've lost your trousers in a comedy? I mean, if you're gonna go for good old belly laugh comedy, you lose your trousers, don't you? Do you know what I mean? It's how you recover from that kind of breakdown.
Especially if you're 6'6", because it is effectively physical comedy, especially without giving too much away. When we see his lallies later, his legs.
Yeah.
Do you want to give it a headline, notwithstanding the fact we know you're very positive about it?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man up, but then that makes it sound like it's
I thought that was an order to me.
Yeah, Man
All
up.
right.
Or
Saying I'm a wuss.
what about man down but not out?
Oh, yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I'm a big fan. I'm not going to hide it. I'm a big fan of Greg Davis. I'm a big fan of. I mean, this is his brainchild, isn't it? My biggest
Well,
beef.
he wrote this series, yeah.
Yeah,
As well as creating it, yeah.
My biggest beef with this is, and I think that's quite interesting. We'll come to that a bit later about there's something I noticed about that I thought was quite interesting. But my biggest beef with this is that he hasn't written more, and he continues to waste his time doing things like Taskmaster, which is just cheap telly and the lowest common denominator as far as I'm concerned. Any of these panel things, I can't bear them.
Well, we know you've got a particular issue about those. But the thing is, you can't, as an actor stroke presenter stroke writer, you can't just click your fingers and... I mean, you can write all you like, but you can't necessarily get it commissioned and get paid for it. I don't judge anyone for getting a regular gig on a panel show, even though I don't feel as intensely about them. I just avoid them.
I avoid them.
I
don't turn them on and sit there and seethe. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not there throwing. I'm sitting there like scowling at the TV and sticking pins in an effigy of David Mitchell, who appears to be on all of them. But do you know, I can't. It's the commissioners that I'm angry with, not the people who take part in them. You're right.
Well, yeah. Yes, I mean, we don't need to go too far down this road. What I would say is it is safe commissioning, and it is relatively cheap.
I wonder if they get good numbers. I do wonder.
Oh, they must do.
You think?
And the thing is, it's much more dependable. I think so.
Everybody I know that I mean, that's all right. That's all right. That's two people and a dog, but and a budgie, but. Well, I don't know the budget very well, but everybody that I talk to about these says, just, well, kind of, he nods at his mirror. He's not really nodding at me. Says that they avoid them. I don't know anybody who says, oh, I love Mock the Week, or I love because when I say it's because I've got a thing about them, I say, oh, do you like those kind of programs? No, I don't really. Have I got news for you? I mean, he's just universally loathed. But if you look at Twitter, some of the responses he gets, you kind of think, I wonder who's watching this then. And there must be...
Yeah, well, we don't judge things by Twitter too much, do we? You only get the extremes, the very angry and the very happy. Yeah, and usually it's mostly angry.
Yeah, and it isn't real life. But, I mean, it's the only barometer you've got, isn't it, other than seeing the figures, I mean, which are more reliable on TV than they ever are on radio. But
well, I'll tell you what, look, if I'm going to remind you about iPlayer later on, remind me to get a copy of Broadcast and look at the hit parade. Yeah, the numbers.
Yeah, it'd be interesting, wouldn't it, to see like a comedy.
During the next piece of audio, I'll sashay into the lounge where I have a copy or two, because that's the kind of industry sado I am.
I mean, you don't even keep them in the toilet. You've got no respect, have you?
No, I've got newspapers there, but that's another story entirely.
See, I always used to keep a copy
recycling
of Broadcast in the toilet because I thought it was very, very absorbent. Absorbing.
Oh, that's it. Yeah, I was going to say, it's the exact opposite. It's quite shiny. But anyway, like your bonds. But that's again another story. So, well, I think you should be asking me for a headline. Not that I've prepared one, because
go on.
For me it was Lucky Dip. And have I given anything away? Because you try and be impassive normally when you haven't given it away. When I'm looking at you on Skype, our listeners, of course, don't have to suffer the ignominy of seeing your face and features. Did I give anything away? Do you have a hunch what my reaction overall is to this show?
I do have a hunch, but I think it's probably because this chair it's got a strange back on it. But
hey,
no, I don't really. I mean, I not from what you've given away. I thought you were very stoic in your defence of your emotions. But I kind of get the impression that you do like it.
Well, I liked it more on second viewing because we always have a second run-up at these things. First time, I had to say to myself, because there was no one else to listen, it's the same problem, not even a flipping budgie. I said, I just don't get it at all. and I wonder if I might get it a bit more on the second run, but I wasn't too optimistic. I have to say, I'm just not a Greg Davies fan. It's completely irrational because I don't know the guy. He's a perfectly competent actor. People like you, I mean, obviously we don't agree on everything, but we have a lot of crossover of things we can agree on. But he isn't going to be one of them, I'm afraid.
Have you seen him in anything else, or is this the first thing you've seen him in?
I haven't seen him in much else, and I probably should try. Is there anything you want to recommend that would be sufficiently different from this that would give me another go?
Well, curiously, no, I think it's quite the reverse of that. But I just wondered whether you were eased into the character a bit. Now he played the one of the teachers in The In-Betweeners.
Right. All I've seen of that is a little clip. I mean, we should slab that sometime, shouldn't we?
Yeah, we should actually. Yeah, I mean, there's a great scene where they're doing exams, and just for his own amusement, he decides to do the teacher's mince up and down the exam in between the desks.
Right. That's not as in fresh mint or peppermints.
No. He's showing the teacher that's with him. He said, "No, this is how you." And he's like, I think he's doing a commentary in his head as well, and he's going and he's mincing to the front of the class. Oh, look at that turn! And then he's on his way back, and he's kind of like giving this flamboyant mince up and down the what's it to try and. So that was one of the things that I first saw him in and kind of liked. And I think he played the dad in a series called Cuckoo. Which I think was quite passable until Andy Samberg left it, the American left it, and they kind of got other people in and tried to drag it along, sort of thing. But yeah, so I'd seen him in a few things before I saw him in this. So to see him in his own thing, it was like kind of, I was kind of geared up for him, I suppose, in a way. I kind of knew of him, and kind of liked the appeal of him. I'm curious when you say that you didn't get it. What was it? Because I think it's quite in plot. I think it's really quite simplistic in terms of.
No, I just meant get it in as much as just didn't tickle me in the right places and make me giggle.
Wow.
It's not the opposite. It's not a strong resistance to it or anything like that. It's just wanted to like it more. I like the idea of a man-child. I mean, I'll come back to our massive agreement on Herbert Clunkerdunk. We possibly shouldn't mention him in every show, but I can't help myself at the moment. I'm still in the aftershock of loving that so much. People can find that on iPlayer for the next few months as we speak, at least. I mean, that's a one-off type show, but he is definitely a man-child. Spencer Jones plays a man-child in that. Fantastically talented. So that at least proves I'm not averse to man-children. It's just something, it just doesn't tickle the funny bone. And I don't know why, really.
Should we have another clip and see if we can get anybody else's funny bone tickled? And
let's hope so.
And then maybe dig into a bit more why it didn't hit the mark, and maybe if we explore maybe why it did hit the mark with me and why it didn't hit with you, perhaps we'll find some middle ground. Let's
hope so. And this clip features his daughter Jo, played by someone that we have found on another slab and prodded with our scalpel. That's not a euphemism to quote Colin Holt. It's Rasheen Connerty who plays the daughter. So we find them here in the cafe, and let's just say she might be lacking in a bit of empathy when it comes to her dad just having been unceremoniously dumped, if I may use that term.
Are you upset?
Well done, Taggart. It's Naomi.
Who?
My girlfriend.
Oh, what's her name, that girl?
Naomi.
No, the one you were seeing.
Bloody hell, Joe, you must remember. I've been seeing her for 6 years.
Oh, yeah? The baldy one.
What? She's not bald.
She looked pretty bald to me, Daniel. Sorry.
She's not bald, Joe. She's left me.
Oh, well. Get another?
That simple, yeah?
Or darts?
You see, Why did I come to you for emotional advice? I may as well have held a meowing cat up to my balls.
Oh, I see. Looks like we're gonna have to sing this one out.
I don't think it'll help this time.
What's love got to do with it? Come on. What's love but a second-hand emotion?
I'm your private dancer, dancer for money. I'll do what you want me to do.
Can I get the 5-egg omelette?
Wait!
Nuts.
The cafe owner always gets me. She's like that throughout the rest of the series as well. Wasn't his Tina Turner impression quite good? I thought, I must admit.
Spot on. I mean, listening as opposed to seeing it just there. I mean, you could be forgiven for confusing the real thing, couldn't you?
Absolutely. I just think, for me, it's kind of the perfect storm. You've got Greg Davies. Although I have to, when we were playing that clip, I just remembered actually the first thing I ever saw him in. He used to be in a troupe called We Are Kang.
Not Clang or Clung.
Was it Kang or Kang or I can't remember, but
I might be confusing two similar things. Yeah,
and I think there were three of them, and I think they used to have a radio show, or they did a radio show.
It's ringing bells. I didn't connect the two, but
and he was part of that, and I thought that was awful. I mean, it was supposed to be, I think, surrealist comedy kind of. It always worries me. The term "off the wall" usually is a euphemism for it's not funny. But yeah, so I'm sure it's We Are Kang. I'm sure that's
it's Clang. I've just
is
found
it Clang?
Yeah,
Is it? Okay.
Klang, and there was also a TV series by the look of things.
Wow.
Yeah.
No, I thought that was dreadful. That was the first thing I saw him in, and that put me off him for a while.
Right.
Curiously enough. So, but no, Roisin Conaty, and I think it's quite interesting as well that she then went on to make Game Face, which was her life's work kind of thing, wasn't it? You know, her sort of autobiographical comedy.
And that's what we slabbed.
That's right, yeah. Game Face, yeah. Which I really, I can't remember, you weren't so much of a fan, were you, of that? I don't think.
Not really, didn't, again, struggling to get it, as in, warm to it. And I think you've done a little correction. I was speaking as if she was playing his daughter. Do you know what it is? Sometimes, maybe it's my cloth ears, calling him Dan sounds like dad. I wonder if that's what threw me. I'm easily thrown, as you know. Regular listeners will know.
I think they're just friends, aren't they? And I mean, it's there's like him. He's completely like feckless and in a world of like this fantasy world of his own. I mean, she's almost dangerous, isn't she, to the point of destruction? And then they've got this other friend who's an accountant who like kind of just tries to corral them in and keep them safe. And I just thought like with the three of them, it's a really nice dynamic, because I don't think you see the girlfriend after the first episode. I think she does actually go, and it's all about him wanting to try and get her back.
I thought I saw a reference to ex-girlfriend, which would be her in a future episode.
Might be a flashback, maybe.
Yeah.
Or perhaps she turns up or whatever. But yeah, I mean, the whole idea is that he's single and he's trying to get her back, and how does he do that kind of thing? Which he tries to do in this first episode, doesn't he? I mean, I must admit, there was a point where he written a to-do list, because he's like, it's on my to-do list. He got this.
To-do list. Yeah. You see, which
consisted of get a pen, get trousers, get mortgage, get light bulb, get Naomi back.
I thought you were going to do not Underworld, a train spotting moment there.
Oh.
Get a wife.
Get life.
Get happy.
I just thought the first one, get a pen.
Okay, yes, I missed the gag there.
Oh dear! Do you know,
it's like going to stores. If people have a stores at work, if you work in a big place, and asking for a pen, and they say, "Well, you have to sign for it." That sort of thing, isn't it?
I've not heard that one. Oh, I remember the first job I ever had when leaving school, and they used to do that thing where you'd have to go to the stores and go and get a long wait.
Oh, he said, "Come back in half an hour."
Yeah, they say they'd go. He'd go to the stores and go, "Can I have a long wait, please?" And he goes, "Yeah, hang on there." And then they go off in the back and make a cup of tea and goes,
"Dow!"
Oh, dear.
Anyway, sorry, I interrupted you. If you can remember that far back, remember what you were about to say.
I can't actually.
What a rotter.
No, I was just saying about the whole dynamic of the three of them, and they're quite unbelievable characters. But I still think there's a believability in there as well, which that's how I kind of. It kind of got me hooked in, I think. But you obviously you're not feeling any of that love at all, are you? You're not.
No, they're just. It's an irrational thing, I think. But yeah, why warm to one setup and not to another? I'd say they're very similar. Now I see them side by side, Rasheen and Greg, and I do remember being left pretty cold by. It's Game Face, wasn't it? You said
Game Face, yeah.
Yeah. They're virtually one's a opposite sex version of the other, and I'm left equally cold with both and wanting to like both, and just baffled as to why it doesn't do it when another sort of surreal show does. Because I love the surreal.
What about Rick Mayall's appearance? What about that? Tell me.
Well, yeah, that wrong-footed me for a moment because I thought. Oh, he looks like Rick Mayall. Then I thought, I thought the show wasn't that old. I mean, I haven't looked up. I meant to what year poor Rick died. But clearly it was him. I'd never seen him that old, as it were. He's semi-white-haired. He played the part well. No, he played his dad, unless I misheard another Dan.
No, he did. That is correct, yeah.
And but I mean, technically, of course, he was pretty much the same generation, wasn't he, than as Greg Davis, not that far off. So it actually worked for him to look a bit older. I don't want to issue too many spoilers, but we can't avoid I've got to say about the bear suit, haven't I? I thought that was a nice, energetic introduction.
That's all he does. That's every episode is that he jumps out on him. It's a bit like Kato in the Pink Panther.
Oh right. Oh, that's probably the inspiration, isn't it?
Yeah, is all. That all is. I mean, I did like and they turn it into some good lines in there. Like he said to him something about, he said, "I'm just trying to be a dad," and he said, "Well, take me fishing." He said, "Teach me to smoke a pipe."
Yes, rather than dress up as a bear and jump on me.
And jump out on me, yeah. And see, to me, that was my least favourite part of the whole episode and the series as well. But people used to rave about that. I think they did one more series after Rick died, and I think there was some kind of tribute to him in that. I forget what they did now, because I think Greg Davis, really they had a really nice relationship, and I think. He was devastated at as a lot of people were who didn't even know him, the death of Rick Mayall. So
it's one role you could replace, provided the head doesn't come off the bear. Yes. You could get someone else and someone else to roar.
Yeah, I don't think he was always dressed up as a bear, but I think he always leapt out on him. So he was always attacking him for some reason, or he'd jump out on him.
Maybe that comes into the man up kind of category. He's trying to make him tough, but yeah. Bit late for that when someone's already 6'6" and in their 30s or 40s.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, I should add it's an Avalon TV production. Avalon, hugely successful. Well, it's a multi-headed hydra, really. It has a management wing, doesn't it? And loads of big names on that. One of the most successful comedy management companies, I would say.
I do. Well, I looked up the series on the Internet Movie Database, and some of the people who starred in Man Down are in no particular order: the Wonder Stuff, the band, Dennis Taylor, the snooker player, Brian Murphy, Miles Jupp, Stephanie Cole plays his mother in later episodes.
Bless her.
Izzy Sutty, who was in Peep Show quite a large role in
I think she's an Avalon artist, as I imagine a number of them will be.
Tony Robinson, and Stephen Burkoff, to name but a few, have all appeared in Man Down. And you look down that kind of list like that, and you think, wow. I wonder if that is because some of them are on Avalon's books, maybe, and they threw them into the mix, as it were.
But also being perhaps slightly less cynical or sceptical about it. Maybe they're mates, or it says to me at the very least, it looks to me like I feel even more baffled why I'm not getting it when that caliber of artist is almost, it sounds like they might be elbowing their way onto the show because they want to be associated with it. Maybe it's pointing to I should at least give another episode a try at another time. Anyway, we should certainly give the third and final clip a run now before giving the show marks out of 5. And are you about to say something? No.
I was just looking at my notes. I won't until you play the clip, but there's the scene in the office a bit later on, and I just saw something in my notes that made me titter. So I do apologise. Carry on.
No. Never apologise for tittering on the Comedy Slab.
Apologise for Kettering, but never apologise for tittering.
Kettering. Oh, well, that takes us to James Acaster. He's a Kettering town guy. He's got a routine about doing the
talking about not getting
song.
People. He's on the top of my list.
Okay. Hold that thought. Pause it and move on. Anyway, so we now we move to a tailor's shop, or at least it's a tailor as it is a tailor's shop, isn't it? Does he do dry cleaning on the side? He's certainly an actor we have slabbed in another production, which we'll get to in just no doubt. Are you laughing about the sequence in advance of even hearing it? Well, that's a good sign, isn't it? This one,
I'm having a flashback. Go on.
Another sequence that left me cold, actually. But hey, what can I say about it? Well, a tailor's is not the worst place to be when you're lacking in trousers, but actually he's there before he even makes the connection, isn't he? There's a connection with... It's implied that our man, Greg Davis, or Dan, is a teacher, and this tailor has a young lad who I think, back me up on this, or correct me if I'm wrong, it's implied this is one of his pupils.
He's on work experience, isn't he, with the tailors?
Yeah. I wondered if that's what you were giggling about just then. Anyway, so let's find the kind of to come back to an earlier artifact that was mentioned, a light bulb moment when Dan realises this man might be able to help with his trouser predicament.
It's so lovely to have a member of the teaching profession in my humble shop. You know, I've often dreamed of being an educator myself.
Really?
Sadly, I've the reading age of a 3-year-old child.
Oh.
I expect you want to know how the lad's settling in.
Yeah?
He's a wonderful boy, Mr. Davis. I mean, he's useless work-wise. He's thick, and he's got what my old mum would call spastic hands.
Do you make trousers?
Oh, we do it all. Your trousers, your shirts, your suits, your cummerbunds.
And, well, how much would trousers be?
For yourself. Oh, the cost of the material alone, sir. Jason, go and get me a tape measure. It's the long yellow thing with the marks on it. Oh, he's a good boy. He's normal. He's not into your rubber shorts, your plastic fists, your glory holes. You know what I mean.
Sort of. Not really.
Perry Benson, one of my favourite actors. He always plays somebody, and I've never seen him interviewed. I must try and dig out an interview with him if anyone's ever done one.
Yeah.
He always kind of plays somebody who has some kind of damage going on. Do you know what I mean? He's
internally, psychologically. You mean?
Yeah, very much so. He always was he Layer Cake or Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels. He was in one of those films, that kind of thing, and he played somebody who'd got like an edge to them as well. He always has this. He was in the what was the? Don't Forget the Driver, wasn't it? Episode 49 of the Comedy Slab. If you want to go back and hear what we thought about it, he was in that, but I didn't think he kind of. He didn't really kind of take off. I didn't think in that, but this, I thought he was in his true glory. But again,
yeah.
But I was going to say again, you didn't like it, no?
No, but I wouldn't have thought. To me, there wasn't much difference between the kind of character who's playing here and the quirky character in Don't Forget the Driver, which of course had Toby Jones,
yes,
as the coach driver, of the title. I'm trying to do two things at once, which is not very good when you're male, and especially when you're me. I'm trying to read. I'm looking at Broadcast Magazine, one of my many copies. Sorry, slight side point, but we've got this loose end. You might have a point here. I'm struggling to find a high rating panel show. High rating, obviously, in terms of numbers of viewing audience.
But I think what was it we used to say in radio? It keeps the needle wagging. I don't know what the TV equivalent is for that, but
well, yeah, there are various needles waggling. You've still got the audio needle waggling on TV, of course.
Yeah.
I suppose I would have to say, being an archaic TV worker, it keeps the oscilloscope buzzing away, flickering. How's that?
We're getting off the beaten track here, or as somebody used to say at our doctor's surgery when we went in for our shots to go on holiday, she said, "Are you going far off the beacon track?" I don't quite know. Where
Does she think you're going to the Brecon Beacons?
Yes, I think so. Yeah.
Anyway, well, since we're the Comedy Slab, to cut to the chase, looking at the top 10 comedy, this is a random few weeks ago, because not only am I a sado with a broadcast subscription, I'm also someone who keeps back issues untidily on their coffee table. So this is a few weeks ago, but hey, it should make the point. Still Open All Hours was top of the pops that week in the comedy genre only. So this is breaking down. I mean, this tells a story which is an important one. We kind of touched on even the top one. Do you have any notion what numbers that might pull in, just roughly?
What, Still Open All Hours?
So yes,
4 million.
No, even that is only 2.3, give or take, 2.3 million. It's 12% share, getting on for 13% share. So of all viewing at that time. These days, in the age of catch up, then that will put on some extra hundreds of thousands, I would have thought, with that would be an iPlayer, as BBC One show. But anyway, I cannot see, that's if you call panel shows comedy, because I've looked under entertainment. I cannot see, don't think I can see. Oh, sorry. Have I Got News for You? Yeah. Okay. They come under the entertainment genre. Have I Got News for You is number 4, but I think that would be the highest rating of any panel show.
Right.
Yeah. And that's doing 4 million, just over 4 million, which I think it's done for years, to be fair to it. So, I mean, all these numbers are much smaller than in my day.
Oh,
First comedy I worked on was Sorry, and I thought that would do about 4 million. That was doing 9 million in those days.
Was it really?
Yeah.
Do you know? I must admit, I got a soft spot for that comedy. It's really weird, isn't it? I don't know if it's.
I think it is a good comedy.
That nostalgia kind of thing, but
not what it used to be, as the old guy has it.
No,
Right,
mate, I tell you.
Are we in scoring mode?
Yeah. Before we do, can I just have a quick mention of that thing?
iPlayer, yeah.
Yeah, all I wanted to know was I mean, I've talked for many times about on the BBC iPlayer that it's really frustrating. In fact, was it last week's Count Arthur Strong, where they'd listed all the series in the episodes, but not one of them was available. And I just wonder, being as Channel 4 is a public service broadcaster, the same as the BBC, except it gets a substantially smaller slice of the cake that we give over to them out of the government money. They seem to manage to be able to curate a massive back catalogue on their awful website. And
of course, they have got advertising revenue coming in.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, they do have a public service broadcast remit, don't they, as well? But what I'm saying is, so is it just simply they're just paying the Jews and the BBC aren't? Is that what it is? Or
I think so, in effect, but they would have Yeah, they've got a different arrangement and they juggle things differently. But actually, to me, it looks a superior system, whatever they've got. Also, sorry, I thought you were going to say, why can't the BBC have what Channel 4's got? I only noticed it tonight. There's a little tick box where you tick if you only want to see the shows available. Yeah. So you don't get the frustration effect where you think, wonderful, I can see this old show from Channel 4. Oh, no, I can't.
Yeah.
Because it's just sitting there and it's past its broadcast window or replay window. So yes, but essentially they seem to have more shows on for longer. The BBC certainly is moving towards a year's window instead of a month, but it does come down to shekels in the end.
Oh, well, I see the trouble with the BBC, and I've always said this, the trouble with the BBC is they want to be all things to all men. I mean, this is they want to beat everybody at everybody's game kind of thing, rather than saying, well, this is what we do. It's interesting actually. Today, I was just reading the Irish broadcaster RTE are actually stopping all of their DAB broadcasts to save money because I think their revenue has been cut. So and I think this is the thing is that whilst you're maintaining a Persian service or whatever it is. You think you've got to focus. You're the British Broadcasting Corporation. You should be focusing on that. That's my view, anyway. I know people think that diplomatically it does a lot in other countries.
Soft power and all that. Yeah.
Yeah. But they're not supposed to be political. That's so they shouldn't be doing that. If that is the case, that isn't an excuse either. But I think it's about focus, isn't it? I think I'd like to see the BBC focus on, paying the money for that kind of broadcast and not worry maybe about doing all the ancillary stuff and having Gary Lineker on. I mean, to take him off, they'd probably be able to afford it, wouldn't they? Single-handed for a year.
They could afford to have us back on the radio if they got rid of Gary Lineker.
They couldn't afford me, mate. I tell you, no way. Not what I would ask of them.
Okay, you want to put a high bar on it now?
No. All I'm saying is they wouldn't get a cannon that they'd fit Tony Hall into. That's all I'm saying. Is that's
you'd reintroduce a cannon and ball show, but in a different way. More like it's a knockout.
It's a knockout. Would be. I just find it frustrating. I just think you look at Channel 4 and you think it's pretty impressive. And if you go back into that archive, that goes back quite a way. Some of the programmes, I don't know if it's the deal that they did, but you kind of think, well, this hasn't been on telly for like 15 years, and they've got it on their website. But there you go.
Yeah, they did some very good deals. Good as in consumer friendly. Whether if we were on the other side of the fence as producers, we think they were good deals.
Or writers, yeah. That's a good point, yeah.
Etc., etc. But before we get accused, quite rightly in my view, of lack of focus, ironically, because that's what you were talking about, let us focus our minds and give scores out of 5. I've got one up my sleeve, as 'twere.
What do you mean not enough people are wearing hats? Sorry, that's Monty Python.
That's surreal. Oh, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you want to whack your numbers out?
Whack my wad on the counter. No, it's whop your wad. That was an old Harry Enfield loads of money thing. Yes, I'll whop my score on the counter.
Okay.
And it is it's 2.5.
Oh, that's half more than I thought.
Well, yeah, but you're always slightly meaner than me when you don't like something. I'm always thinking of the poor people who work on it. They're not poor, but and they don't need patronising from me. But a little part of me weeps.
I'm glad you told yourself off then.
Yes, I'm trying to preempt all the death threats on Twitter, if it's all possible, or at least reduce the number. Get it into 6 figures.
Yeah.
But at least we know we're being reacted to. I as with all shows, I wanted to like it more. Shows that I can't give very high marks to. I wanted to like it more, but I know it's well made. I know that everyone's brought their best to it, their professionalism. Couldn't fault it. I mean, what I would say is it looked a bit budget, but I don't mean that as nasty as it might sound. I just think they didn't do any fancy stuff.
I thought it did as well. I'm glad you said that because I got that in my notes and I thought, I'll leave that. Maybe it's just me. I actually thought it looked budget, but is it my imagination?
Well, your imagination's budget, we know that much.
So now my notes say it looked budget, but is it Adrian's imagination?
Are you imagining my imagination?
I couldn't imagine that.
I couldn't
imagine anything worse.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah. Anyway, so I'll park that there. Obviously they saved money on his car, but it was a comedy car, nice old banger with a knackered chair, thanks to his dad.
It was an old Honda, wasn't it? I think was it a Honda Accord?
I couldn't decide if it was that or a Triumph Acclaim, which was the same thing. But no, I think you're right.
They? Yeah,
I think you're right. What a couple of car balls we are. Over to you, Boo-Boo.
You know, I couldn't tell you a modern car. I was behind a Nissan Leaf today. And,
it's the electrical one, isn't it?
Well, do you know, I was surprised to see it out in the autumn. I thought it would have turned brown and fallen over.
Hadn't it just fallen on the road?
Yes, yeah.
Well, you're a road scholar, or was that me?
No, but yeah,
I'm going to guess you're going to give it 4 or 4.5, obviously.
Four. 4. Yeah, I'll give it 4. 6.5 out of 10. I'll give it 4. Yeah, I mean, I wasn't a fan of the some of the physical comedy. I thought there was some kids in there, and normally I find children in these kind of things quite nauseating. But I thought they were excellent.
There was one really good girl who she had subtle adult sort of body language. She didn't even have to talk. Yeah. The look with the eye, it was like, whoa, she's going to be a star if all goes well.
And you see a lot more of her throughout certainly that series. Yeah.
Oh, that's good. That would make me tune in, actually.
Because she's
Can't
really
be doing with Greg, but I could do more of her.
The great thing is she's really got his number as well as a teacher, hasn't she? She thinks she's a real idiot. You know, it's like it's really quite refreshing to see that.
Yeah.
But yeah, 4 out of 5, 6.5 out of 10 for Man Down.
Homework time. Talking of schools and pupils.
Do you know what I thought? Actually, I'm going to stay with TV. Although I'm going to head over to Netflix.
Oh, cheeky.
And I'm going to head across the pond as well, as they say. And I'm going to go for something that normally I'll say, it stars, he's 4'7" and walks with a lisp. Do you know who it is?
Walks with a lisp. Yeah. No, I don't on that basis, but I think that was a trial run, wasn't it?
I'm not sure how huge this is in this country, so I'm not gonna agonise over trying to make you guess or anything like that.
Although I'm trying to, of course.
Do you want to? I mean, I don't know.
No, well, I'm not that up on Netflix, so
okay.
Chances are I won't know.
All right, are you up on a guy called Aziz Ansari? Do you know of him? Have you heard him? Have you seen his work?
I think not. I would remember such a name, I think.
I have. I first saw him. Now, I've not seen the show that we're actually going to slab, but I first saw him in a thing called Parks and Recreation, which was an Amy Poehler vehicle in the United States. And Aziz Ansari played one of her office co-workers. They worked in like a government department kind of thing. And I remember at the time thinking, he's a stand-up as well, this guy. And I thought, he's quite a sparky individual. I'd like to see more more of him in other stuff. He was one of the other characters in that. One of the other actors was a guy called Nick Offerman, who has been he's got quite a few major film roles and stuff like that now. So they've all kind of done well from this series. But he went on to make his own thing, which is a kind of semi-autobiographical comedy. And he plays this guy who's a struggling actor, and it's just basically about some of the situations that he gets into in his life. It's called Master of None. Obviously a play on words from Jack of all trades. So it was a Netflix series. So I'm not sure whether. I mean, I've seen it I've seen the trailers for it through the beauty of everyone's got access to Netflix now. But I'm not sure whether. I don't think it's hit mainstream old-fashioned gas telly as yet. So it'd be an interesting one to have a look at anyway. But I thought because neither of us has seen the series, I don't really know much about it. Other than that, I've seen the guy and stuff before, so I thought, well, should we do what we always do, and we'll go with series 1, episode 1, and then we know we're both getting in on the elevator on the same floor, then, don't we?
Okay, yeah.
So that's it. That's for next week. Master of None. If you've enjoyed it this week, by the way, don't forget you can catch up with the Comedy Slab on lots of outlets for your podcasts, things like Spreaker and Stitcher and iHeartRadio and Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and we've also got a kind of semi-visual thing going on YouTube as well, because I know people like to pop it onto YouTube. It's nice to listen to overnight as well. If you've got like YouTube and you put that on and you put the graphic on, and it kind of just like little specks just bobbling away in the background whilst our dulcet tones lull you off into a lovely, nice, tranquil.
Is that the best thing we can recommend, that people fall asleep listening to us?
I think that's nice, Ida. I told you this before. That's how I used to listen to radio years ago. I used to listen in bed and I'd fall asleep. I still do. I still have things on. I still listen to stuff in bed. I do. I love it. I think it's like being told a bedtime story.
I do the opposite, which is not listen to it in bed, but listen to it in the mornings. So it's the other end of my sleep. And actually, I quite like, if there's time, if I'm not rushing up for work, to drift in and out. Because, again, as we've established, I'm of, I think, a sado persuasion. I'm listening to the Today programme. So it's not a comforting bedtime story. It's almost the very reverse. It's the nightmare catch up on the latest disasters on our benighted planet.
I think audio is lovely though, isn't it? Because I listen in bed, I listen in the car, because I tend not to listen to radio, because I think the UK radio offering, since I'm not on it, is awful. All four, yeah. Okay. And the other one I listen to because we got quite a bit of garden to do here, so I kind of do quite a bit of gardening as a result. And I listen in the garden, and I love it. I like audio books and podcasts and radio shows, and I love it. I think it's great. You know, you can be out there and you could be a million miles away listening to some fabulous stuff. So yeah, it's fab.
It's the old secondary activity. You can be doing other things. Lovely. Right. It remains for me to say we are at Comedy Slab on Twitter. It'd be great if you followed us there and communicate with us via that means, should you choose. I mean, you can vehemently disagree with our views. We obviously, quite often, as you've gathered, vehemently disagree with each other. So you might be on point with one of us, at least.
We don't.
Oh, yes, we do.
We don't.
But I see what you did there.
Oh,
Very good. Kindly leave the stage. And we are likewise at Comedy Slab on Facebook. So if you could like that page, we'll like you too. So that's it really, isn't it? Except to say, if you want to give us a nice whacking, whop your star rating, matron, on iTunes / Apple Podcasts for us, that would be great. Apparently that's... Stop it. I've started, so I'll finish. Apparently that can be quite difficult to do it. You have to be quite persistent, apparently, to give your star rating. But hey, hang in there. And you're going to pay off with...
I was just going to say that until next week, I'm going to be spending my time dressing up in a bear costume and jumping out on Adrian at every possible opportunity to see if I can put the willies up him.
I'm not even going to say matron again. I just did.
Bit of a Ken Dodd, that was, wasn't
it? And unfortunately for me, I've got no trousers on. So weren't you trouserless the other week? That's even worse. Exit stage left, pursued by a bear.